Angela Rayner funded her new seaside luxury apartment by stealing money from her disabled son. Well, I have to say, she claims that it wasn't stolen, but let's just go through exactly what happened. This shows the moral bankruptcy of these people who claim to be much more decent and moral and honest and honourable than you. Hello everyone, this is Andre Walker. Thank you so much for watching this video. Please do donate to the Patriot Fund. We are fighting back on behalf of the least advantaged in this country. I want you to donate if you can. Well, no-brainer Rayner has decided that she's going to move to the seaside. The real reason, of course, is she knows that she's going to lose Ashton-under-Lyne at the next election, and I think she wants to run for Labour in Brighton. Well, we will see what happens on that. But here's how she financed the house's purchase. She got £160,000 by selling 25% of her house in Ashton-under-Lyne to her disabled son's trust. Her son was born prematurely, and in 2020, the NHS trust responsible for that premature birth gave an undisclosed sum to the Rayner family. Sorry, not to the Rayner family, to the child. And that child now has that money, but the money is held in trust because the child is under 18. But the trust bought a 25% share of Angela Rayner's house. Now, for those of you that have been to Ashton-under-Lyne, I think you'd be very, very hard pressed to find a house that was worth what is 4 times 160. That is, well, it's 600 grand, isn't it? It's over 600 grand. I doubt for 1 minute that that house was worth that amount. And so now she is living by the seaside. But let me tell you some details that you don't know about her housing arrangement. This is the quality of the people that we're talking about. As we know, Angela Rayner constantly shifts where she says is her principal place of residence to avoid things like stamp duty. Also, no doubt she'll be claiming from the Parliamentary Fees Office, which is now called the Independent Parliamentary Standards Authority. Stupid name for the organisation. But by switching around, she is able to do refurbishments and whatever on homes. And of course, she's not going to pay any gain from that through capital gains tax. She's not going to pay for any of that. Also, her flat in the Admiralty, she doesn't pay council tax on it because instead it's counted as a business premises. So business rates are paid for by the British government. And so by flipping where her primary home was, she was able to mitigate tax, to pay a load of money, and also to pay off a load of money, and also to ensure that she didn't have to pay for the property herself. She decided to raid the trust fund of her son. Now, she is living in the lap of luxury because I guarantee you her Grace and Favour apartment in the Admiralty will be absolutely superb. Similarly, her home now by the South Coast, which I think cost her, let me just get this from my list, I think it cost her £800,000. So that's going to be a pretty significant package. But of course, what she's also said is that the reason she was able to sell a 25% share in her house in Ashton-under-Lyne to her son was because she never goes there anymore. Well, isn't that absolutely remarkable? Because it is her parliamentary constituency, notwithstanding the fact she'll probably do the chicken run. But of course, now, what does that say about her as well? Well, hang on a second. If her son has a home in Ashton-under-Lyne that he's paid 25% for, yeah, got it. And she was able to sell that because she never visits. Doesn't that by extension mean that she never visits her disabled son? So what has happened is, effectively, her disabled son has bought her out of his life by buying her share of the house and then ensuring that she moves out of it. I think the whole thing is deeply, deeply dubious. And I think what it talks to is a woman who has put herself ahead of her disabled son. How much care is she giving to this child? I mean, if you look at Dame Andrea Jenkins, when she won the mayoralty of Lincolnshire for Reform UK, she wasn't able to move to Lincolnshire fully because she had a child with special needs. Whereas, I mean, she literally got hassle in the election off the Conservatives by being, an absentee landlord. But she turned around and said, well, I do have to stay where my child is at the moment because of the child having learning difficulties. Well, can you imagine what Rayner says? Rayner says, oh, I never visit him. And that must be the conclusion. Because why would he need to buy a house in Ashton-under-Lyne that she never goes to unless he actually lives in it? Unless it is just a complete swizz, unless this house is worth 150 grand and she wanted to get more out of it than it was worth. So she decided to sell him 25% at a vastly inflated figure. Whatever this story is, it is deeply dubious. And I think we've got to ask ourselves a question about why politics has gone so wrong in this country. Why is it that we're in a position that these people are gaining power? Somebody, I would suggest to you, who is unwilling to live with their child because they've got disabilities is absolutely not the sort of person that I would suggest should be running the country. Certainly not somebody who should be standing up for me. If you can't protect your own child, you ain't going to protect mine, are you? There's no chance at all. Though I think we need to recognise that what has happened now is a denigration of the quality of parliamentarians. I think part of that is the selection process of the Labour Party and the Conservative Party and the Liberal Democrats, which has prioritised local campaigners over and above people with any ability to run the country. Remember, Jacob Rees-Mogg was rejected from the Conservative Party A-list. Therefore, originally he wasn't allowed to apply for a safe seat because they felt he wouldn't be a very good MP. That was absolute garbage. By the way, I'll tell you something else about Jacob Rees-Mogg that he knew well from the Oxford Union. The slouching back is an incredibly good idea because there's the microphone just there and also, the speaker just there, not the microphone, but also what it means is that you can sit and listen to a debate for a long period of time because these debates go on for about 10 hours. What everybody else does is just pops in, gets a laptop out and then just pretends to be listening, which of course is awful because most parliamentarians, as you probably know, when the bell goes, the phone, I've got a pager sign there, haven't I? The phone goes off and it says, vote yes, vote no, but they don't know what they're voting on. So there we have it, stealing from your own child. Well, we've seen things like that before, haven't we? What a shame for a great country to be denigrated in this way. I have to say to you, I think if we don't get it together in the next election, there will be no country for us to inherit. And certainly the dereliction of duty that many of you feel that from our generation to the generations in the future. Imagine being a white child today, the idea that you'll be discriminated against for jobs and housing, and you'll be run by people like Angela Rayner. That is despicable. The Labour Party wants to get rid of Keir Starmer in favour of this woman. I think that is just absolutely unbelievable. The key attraction of Angela Rayner is they always say, isn't it great that she's got no education? No, it's not great. In a country where you have free education, in a country where you can go through school, where you can have opportunities, the fact that everybody on the Labour bench is just a left-wing trade unionist or charity worker with shit for brains is not a positive thing at all. I don't believe in equality of outcome. I believe in equality of opportunity. But of course, we have this, don't we, where Angela Rayner has become a millionaire having never, ever had a proper job. And that is, I think, absolutely despicable. So please do donate to the Patriot Fund. We are going to be out and about on the 13th of September, talking to people and just meeting you. And I think what we might try and do is get the Patriot Fund to buy some drinks for some of the younger people who've turned up on the protest at their own expense. Maybe expense some train tickets for people who can't afford to come. So if you want to benefit from that, just email me, email@andrewalker.uk, and we might buy a few train tickets for people. But it has to be people who can't go otherwise. And in terms of getting a free drink, you have to be someone who's a bit short on cash, and we're getting it from Wetherspoons, maximum value £2.50. But if you want to contribute towards that, please do donate below. My producer's laughing now. Until next time, goodbye.